Now, why didn't I watch some of these movies sooner than now? What is up everyone, MovieWorm back again with another video, and today is going to be my top 20 first time watchers of 2020. Now bear in mind, these are all going to be movies from 2019 or older. No 2020 films are going to be in this list. And I watched 238 films last year, and to come up with 20 was really hard. Probably the hardest list I've ever done. And what might be fun about this video to you is you probably don't know what's coming next. I mean, unless you remember all the movies that I talked about in my end of month vlogs, then it's going to be kind of a random list, but they do get better as they go on, in my opinion. I recommend every single one of these films. They're all pretty solid, especially the top 5. The top 5 are all 9 out of 10 or above. But I'd say the rest are definitely 8 out of 10 or above anyway, so I recommend you watch all these films, and I highly doubt people would not enjoy these. But I just want to say, I do have one honourable mention. Now, when I was coming up with the list, I picked about 25 films, and I was deciding for a long time which one had to come off between, which had to make the top 20 and come 20th place. And the honourable mention I'm going to give is a film called Oculus. It's a very underrated horror movie. I'm not going to go too much into it, but I just feel the movie that was number 20 had a little bit more to it. But Oculus is such a good horror film, and I highly recommend you watch that. But I'm not going to spend too much time on each title here, but let's just get into it and kick it off with number 20. Number 20 is going to be Christine. Yes, the horror movie about the killer car with a mind of its own. And this is a Stephen King adaptation directed by none other than John Carpenter. And he adds a beautiful score like he does in every film. It's filmed so well. And I really like the character arc of Arnie in this, the main character, because he gets this car and he's not, he's always picked on in school and stuff. He gets this car and starts to get a little bit confident. Then he gets a little bit cocky, and then he just becomes totally unlikable by everyone around him. He pushes everyone out of his life because he is obsessed with this car, but really it's the car controlling him. And I just thought it was a good little story. There's some great kills in this, by the way, but the whole look of the actual car itself was magnificent, and it was just a perfect pick for this movie. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. One of the best horror movies I've seen this year for sure. There are other horror movies on this list, but Christine just had that little something about it, and I had to put it in the top 20. Can't believe it's took me this long. It's been out since 1983, but there you have it. I feel like we've all got films that we haven't seen before that a lot of other people have now, don't we? But number 20 is Christine. Number 19 is going to be Chappie. Now, this is a Neil Blomkamp film, and he directed the District 9 and Elysium, and they're two really good films, I feel. However, this was probably my favourite of his. I just loved every second of this movie, and I didn't really think I was going to like it, to be honest, but it just reminded me when I was watching it of the Neil Blomkamp style, and it's a style that I really like, the way he films things, his cinematography and stuff. And I loved, the character of Chappie himself, and he gets mixed in with the wrong crowd, and they use him to steal banks and stuff, I believe, or, rob drug lords and stuff. And yeah, it's just kind of sad, you feel for this robot called Chappie. But overall, I feel like this is a very underrated film, and I loved every second of it. So yeah, enjoyed this movie quite a lot. Number 19 is Chappie. Number 18 is going to be Knives Out. Yes, I missed this one in 2019, sadly, but I finally caught up with it after all the hype surrounding it, and it didn't disappoint. Rian Johnson made a really good mystery thriller here, and he just knows how to direct. He knows where to point the camera, he knows who to point it at the right times to keep you guessing throughout the film. And this has got a star-studded cast. Daniel Craig was great in this. I thought his American accent was really weird at first, but in the end I thought he'd done it really well. It was just took kind of a bit of time to get used to. You got Toni Collette in there, Chris Evans. It was just a really good film, and I love mystery movies where you've got to keep guessing towards the end of the whodunit film. The only problem I really had with this is towards the end, I did guess the ending. It didn't take anything away, you know. It's not really a problem. It's just more of a, I wish I hadn't guessed because I like the surprise. But at the end of the day, Knives Out is a fantastic film. And apparently Rian Johnson's working on a second one, which I'm really looking forward to. Maybe we'll see Daniel Craig try and solve another mystery there. But Knives Out had to be in this list. Number 17 is Battle Royale. Now, this has been out for quite a while and it's been on my watch list for ages. I've had it on Blu-ray for about 4 years. And this is kind of like The Hunger Games, even though it came before The Hunger Games. And it's just over-the-top violence, ridiculous story, but that's what I love. I love movies where I can just let myself go and, you know, not think about anything else and just have fun with it. And I really, really dislike the teacher in this movie. He's trying to teach these kids a lesson, but he's just going way too far. Basically, all these kids, I think there's 40 of them, all on this island, and one must survive. You know, it's a fight to the death, and obviously, hence the name, Battle Royale. And there's some really, really over-the-top kills here. Some sad moments as well from some of the characters who just can't take it and end up killing themselves. But yeah, this is a really, really good film. My type of movie, but it's slightly, you know, I feel like this is better than The Hunger Games. But if you like The Hunger Games and you just want a little bit more and a more adult-rated film, definitely check this out. This is definitely worth it. Number 17 is Battle Royale. Number 16 is going to be Togo. Now, this is a movie that came out in the UK in 2020 on Disney+. However, it is technically a 2019 film. And I just loved every second of this film. William Dafoe and his sled dog team have got to deliver some medicine to some village that has a little plague going on there, and lots of children are dying. And it's a true story, and this really is all about the dog that didn't get all applaud. It's this dog, you know, just done this cross-country run, and this other dog finished the cross-country run, but only done like a tenth of what Togo did. So it gives Togo his own movie that he fully deserved. And such an emotional film, such an emotional ending, but really, really impactful. And I just loved every second of it. William Dafoe was great in this. And I highly recommend it if you're a Disney Plus subscriber, because it is a fantastic movie. Number 16 is Togo. Number 15 is going to be Hell House LLC. Yes, this is a found footage horror movie that you might not have expected to be on this list, but here we are. Now, this is probably my favourite found footage film since the Blair Witch Project. This is about a group of friends who buy this house that is cursed and want to do it up as a tourist attraction, basically. And when they open it on Halloween night, on opening night, 15 people do actually die in this house. And it all goes back to when they're doing the house up and all the creepy goings on inside it. And I just was blown away by this. I loved every second of it. Such an underrated film, underappreciated horror movie. It's starting to gain a little bit of popularity in the horror community now, but when I first watched it, I don't think I knew anyone who'd heard of this film, so definitely worth checking out. It's available to stream on Prime, I think, but if you like found footage, you have to see this. Number 15 is Hell House LLC. Number 14 is going to be Summer of 84. Wow, this was like a horror adventure movie, and it's kind of like Stranger Things mixed with The Burbs, mixed with Disturbia. It's all about this young boy who believes his neighbour is a murderer. There's this murderer in town and no one knows who it is, but he believes his next door neighbour is committing these murders. But it's got heart, it's got comedy, and it's just a really fun watch. It's like, not like Knives Out, but it's a whodunit. You know, you don't quite know if this kid is right or not, and if there's anyone else in the neighbourhood besides this neighbour who he keeps pointing the finger at. I just loved it, and the chemistry between these four friends on screen is great. So they all make the movie, you know, very, very enjoyable experience. I watched this on Shudder, and I think it's still on there, so I definitely recommend you check this out. Just a really good horror adventure. kind of in the same vein, like I said, as Stranger Things. So number 14 is Summer of '84. Number 13 is going to be The Elephant Man. Now, this was a really, really sad and emotional film. I really felt for this guy who was really disfigured in this movie. And this doctor sort of wants to help him out, Anthony Hopkins, who gives a brilliant performance, by the way. But I really felt bad for this character. There's one moment in the film where this guy takes all these people from the local pub to the hospital to laugh at him, and it was just, I really felt for the character. You know, you get so invested in John Merrick, who's the disfigured guy, the Elephant Man, and it's just a really sad film, but really, really well made by David Lynch, one of his best films, who I think is an absolutely exceptional director, by the way. I've pretty much loved every single one of his movies, and this is one of them. It's one of the best films ever made, probably. You know, I need to watch it again to appreciate it a little bit more, but I can see why people put this very, very high on their favourite movies ever list, because it's got something that other movies don't have. So, for me, The Elephant Man, if I watch this again, it might have been higher on the list, but I've only seen the film once, definitely requires a rewatch, but number 13 is The Elephant Man. Number 12 is going to be 10 Cloverfield Lane. Now, I believe this is a sequel or a side story to the first movie, Cloverfield, but you can definitely watch this as a standalone film. And this is Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who has a car crash, but she wakes up in this bunker, and John Goodman, you know, has made this bunker for the world ending, and he tells her that you can't go out there because it's full of monsters or something, and you don't quite know if he's telling the truth. So John Goodman and Mary Elizabeth Winstead and this other character, just them three locked in this, you know, this bunker, and John Goodman is such a mysterious character, and yeah, it keeps you guessing, put it that way. Brilliant performances by him and Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Good story, and it was really, really tense throughout. There's a moment that happens halfway through the film and you're just like, holy shit. So I highly, highly recommend this if you like thriller movies. It's really, really clever and intense. Number 12 is 10 Cloverfield Lane. Number 11 is going to be The Wolfman. Yes, this is the Universal Monster movie from 1941. And I used to think American Werewolf in London was the best werewolf movie, but I've kind of changed my mind now. I think this is the best werewolf film out there. Not that it has much competition, but it's such a simple story but executed so well, and for the time you have to applaud what they did with this film. You know, it's just a shot of the full moon and stuff, and gives you that feeling of a classic horror movie. And Lon Chaney was absolutely brilliant in the role as the werewolf, you know, the Wolfman here, and all filmed in Wales as well, which is kind of amazing. But I just really have fun with this movie. It was such a good film, and like I said, my favourite werewolf film ever now, and I highly recommend you check it out. I watched all the Universal Monster films this year, but this was the one that I thought was the best out of that box set. So number 11 is The Wolfman. Number 10 is going to be The Man Who Laughs. Now, this is sort of in the same vein as The Elephant Man, you know, where it's this guy who's slightly disfigured. He's got this big smile, and, you know, it was kind of done to him at a young age, and everyone comes and pays this carnival to come and see him because he's like a little bit of a freak. And it was just such an impactful and emotional film. You get so invested in this character and his love interest as well. Conrad Vede was just absolutely amazing in this role. You know, it's the first silent film I ever watched apart from The Snowman. But it just worked so well. There's words on screen to tell the story. They keep popping up on the screen. And it was all put together amazingly. The costume design, the location of 1700s France was just perfect. And it was the Joker that, you know, drew me towards this film, because the character of the Joker in the DC Comics was based on this character. But that was just pushed aside after I watched this, because all I could think about was how good this film was. And I do have a review coming for this, a full review pretty soon, but The Man Who Laughs is a movie that you should definitely check out. And I think it's the oldest movie on this list, 1928, I believe. So, yeah, definitely worth checking out. Such a good story and such a well-made film. Number 10 is The Man Who Laughs. Number 9 is going to be Lords of Chaos. Now, this was such a surprise for me. I think it's a 2018 film, and it's based on this band in Norway, and it is a true story, or most of it's a true story. Rory Culkin plays this band leader who invent this music called black metal, and they get this new singer to come into the band, and he is just totally crazy. He starts saying, if you sing about black metal, then you've got to live up to black metal, and things start to go off the rails a little bit and get out of control. But there's a lot of violence in this film, a lot of blood, but still a brilliant story that I couldn't take my eyes off. It was so tense and impactful, and probably the biggest surprise for me on this list, to be honest, because I didn't expect to love this as much as I did. But Rory Culkin gives such a good performance in this. Just know that if he was in any film now, I would go and see it, because he's brilliant in this. But definitely worth checking out, especially if you like true stories that have an impact. This is one of them. Number 9 is Lords of Chaos. Number 8 is another film that came out here in 2020, but is technically another 2019 film, and that is going to be Uncut Gems. Now, this is a real Marmite film, I believe. You're either going to love it or hate it. My fiance couldn't stand this film, and I absolutely loved every second of it. It's such a hectic movie. You're shouting at the screen sometimes at Adam Sandler's character going, what are you doing? He makes mistake after mistake after mistake and never learns from it. The dialogue here is really strange. It's like everyone's shouting over each other, but it just works so well. And I just thought it was such a good film. Like nothing I'd really seen before. KG, the basketball player, is in this as well, and I thought he was quite good in the film, to be honest. But I highly recommend this. I do. It's like a very unique film, and yeah, I just loved every second of it. You know, best Adam Sandler performance I've ever seen. Number 8 is Uncut Gems. Number 7 is going to be cheating a little bit here, because I've picked 2 movies that I caught up on this year, and that is Mission Impossible Rogue Nation and Mission Impossible Fallout. I could not decide between these two. I mean, they're both fantastic movies. This is a franchise that just gets better as it goes on. If you wanted me to pick one, I'd slightly go with Rogue Nation, mainly for the water tank scene, but really, they're just both as good as each other. I mean, I can't wait for Mission Impossible 7 now. I never really used to like Tom Cruise, but now he's one of my favourite actors because of these films. Does all his own stunts, as we all know, but these are proper action films, aren't they? I mean, I love the situations where it lives up to the name of the movie, Mission Impossible. They feel like situations that you could never ever get through or get out of, and Tom Cruise as Ethan Hunt just gets through them, doesn't he? And I really liked Rebecca Ferguson's character in this. She was a great introduction to the team, and I believe she is one of the main reasons why I like these 2 films the best out the whole franchise. But brilliant action films, can't wait for Mission Impossible 7. So yeah, I couldn't split them 2, but they come in at number 7. Number 6 is going to be such a gem of a film for me, and this is Bad Day at Black Rock. I loved every second of this. It was only like an 80-minute runtime film, proof that films don't have to be long. But this is basically about a small town, and this guy gets off coming to investigate a missing person, and all these locals don't like him. They're so worried about him because this town holds a little secret. But I love the location this was filmed in. There's about 5 buildings in the whole movie, and it's just great to look at. You know, it's such a good little film. And yeah, I highly recommend this. It's from the 50s. I do believe this was nominated for an Oscar, but no one talks about it. But I really enjoyed this one. It's such a good movie, and I loved how it revealed the whole story as the film went on and what these characters were hiding. And the main guy in this, I think his name's Spencer Tracy, was such a good character. So definitely recommend Bad Day at Black Rock. That is number 6. Number 5 is going to be Midsommar. Now, if I had this channel back then, I know it was only 2019, I would have made sure I went to watch this, but here we are, we're here. I missed it in that year, but I finally caught up with it, and wow. I was expecting not to like this too much because I heard so many mixed things, And I loved Hereditary, and I thought it was going to be very hard to get on the same level as that film. And it was just such a brilliantly well directed movie. Ari Aster has made 2 horror films now, and they've both been unbelievable. I mean, this got so many horrific scenes in, so many dark moments, but it all takes place in broad daylight. This is another Marmite film, I believe, because I've heard people say they don't like it and stuff, but I just thought this was so clever. Such a very well made film. Florence Pugh was fantastic in this. It's just got so much good imagery, so much good cinematography. Amazing movie by Ari Aster, and there is rumours that he doesn't want to do horror no more. I think that would be a massive mistake because he has just reinvented it, in my opinion. So, number 5, Midsommar. Number 4 is going to be Train to Busan. Now, I had heard so many good things about this, so I lowered my expectations a little bit because sometimes you can be disappointed. However, this exceeded my expectations. This is one of the best zombie movies I have ever seen. It's a Korean film, and it moves as fast as the title suggests. It's so fast paced. The zombies in this are terrifying. If there was a zombie outbreak, these will be the last type of zombies I'd want to see. But it has a lot of character development within the film as well. There's so many good side characters, so many unlikable ones as well, who are just only care about their own survival and will put everyone in harm's way to protect themselves. I just loved every second of this. It was such a well-made film. And the reason I checked it out was because the second one was coming to cinemas. However, I didn't get to see the second one because cinemas shut, but I'm so happy that I checked this one out. I just thought it was absolutely amazing. So, yeah. Number 4, Train to Busan. Number 3 is going to be another 2019 film that we got for 2020. And that is Jojo Rabbit, directed by Taika Waititi. Now, this was the first movie I ever reviewed on this channel, and I don't suggest you go and watch that video because I was just starting my channel out and I'm not very good at what I'm doing there, and it's all in one take, but it's up to yourself. Anyway, I thought this movie had everything. It was hilarious, had a great story, great characters, it just had everything. Scarlett Johansson was really good in this. Taika Waititi directed it and starred in it as Adolf Hitler. He's the best Adolf Hitler I've ever seen. And Roman Griffin Davis, who was the young boy in this, just gave such a good performance. I love the interaction with him and Adolf because it is his imaginary friend. He thinks Nazis are just like the best, the best type of people because he's been brainwashed. And then he starts to see the real side of it when his mum reveals that she's hiding a Jew in her closet. So I just thought this was a really well made film and loved every second of it. I really did. And if I was going to include this in my 2020 top movies, it probably would have been in the top 3, maybe even number 1, who knows. But 2019 movie, so I put it in this one. Number 3, Jojo Rabbit. Number 2 is going to be 12 Angry Men. I was blown away by this film, I really was. This is about 12 jurors, and 11 of them believe this young man is guilty of murder, but one of them doesn't. And he has to convince the other 11 jurors that this young man is not guilty. And what I liked about this more than anything is as each one of these is getting convinced, I was getting convinced along with them as well. It takes you on a ride, and it all takes place in one room. And for me to be absolutely blown away, and actually one of the best films I've ever seen, all taking place in one room, just shows how well directed this movie is. Sidney Lumet, it's his directional debut, which is even more mind-blowing. Henry Fonda as the juror who believes the young man is innocent is absolutely amazing in this, but it's such a well-acted performance by everyone in here. And I loved all the characters, loved the story as it revealed itself. And it was a very, very clever film, especially when this Henry Fonda, how he goes through these little set pieces of why he isn't guilty. And you start to think there's 2 sides to every story, and you should always remember that through life. So, 12 Angry Men, one of the best films I've ever seen. That is number 2. Number 1 is going to be Misery. Yes, I had only seen little clips of this film before, or little chunks, but I finally sat down and watched the whole film from start to finish this year, and I was absolutely blown away. There's been some great Stephen King adaptations like The Green Mile, Shawshank Redemption, and this is up there with them. I mean, I can't really think of anything bad to say about this movie. There's not really any negatives whatsoever. I might even, edge towards giving it a 10 out of 10. There's not many films that I've given a 10 to in my lifetime. About 15 altogether, but this might be in my top 20 movies of all time. Now, I just loved Kathy Bates in this movie. She was absolutely brilliant. Makes you feel on edge all the time. She's such this sweet woman, and then she's just an absolute psychopath like that in seconds. James Caan, I really feared for the guy. He was just stuck here. There was nothing he could do. Everyone talks about the scene where, she breaks his leg, and it did make me wince. It was pretty hard to watch. But the one that stood out to me more than anything was where he first spills his soup that she's just made him, and she goes off on one, and that was the first time I actually seen her turn psychotic. I was like, oh my god, it was such a good performance by Kathy Bates. James Caan was brilliant. Rob Reiner made such a good movie here. It's pretty much perfect. I just loved every single moment of this movie, and I really fear for James Caan. I wanted them to get out of this situation so much, and she just wanted everything her own way, didn't she? But really recommend Misery if you haven't seen it. I think I'm the only guy on the planet who hadn't, and I'm so happy I watched it. We'll definitely review it one day on this channel, but I just want to watch it again to get the full impact of it and learn a bit more about the movie myself. But yeah, Misery, number one for sure. Just picked 12 Angry Men, but I had to put it on there as number one because it was just pretty much perfect to me, and no negatives whatsoever with that film. So number one, my first time watch of 2020 was Misery. Okay guys, hope you all enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun making this list, even though it was a hard one to make. I enjoyed talking about all these films, and I can't wait to do this again next year. I've already watched the film this year, which I'll talk about in the end of month vlog of January, by the way. That might already make the number one list next year because it was fantastic. But you never know, something else might beat it. I do plan on watching a lot more films this year, and I've got off to a good start already. So yeah, we'll do this all again next year, but look out for the end of month vlogs where I talk about every film I've watched throughout the month. If you want to check any of them end of month vlogs out, they'll be down below. If you want to check out my top 10 best films of the year, I'll leave that down below as well. But thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope there's a few recommendations for you here. I know some of these movies might sound like they're up your street, and I definitely recommend that you check out any of these if you like the sound of them. So that is my top 20 movies of 2020. Thanks so much guys, take it all easy, and I'll see you all in the next video.